Morning, Pastor Randy here with a morning word. It is December the 1st and it's cold outside and I like it that way. We want to give a shout out to all of our school teachers, all of our first responders, police, military personnel. Thank you all for your service. God bless you and all that you do. I always want to include you guys. I want everyone give a toast to that and hope you have your word open this morning. We're going to be at John chapter 13, and the morning word is loving like Jesus. Loving like Jesus. This is going to be a good one. John chapter 13, verse 1. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come, that he should depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. He loved them to the end. Now flip over, or you may not have to. I do in my Bible, the page. I'm going over now to verse 12 and begin reading there. So when he had washed their feet, taken his garments and sat down again, he said to them, "Do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Most assuredly I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is he who is sent greater than who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. I do not speak concerning all of you. I know whom I have chosen, but that the scripture may be fulfilled, he who eats bread with me has lifted up his heel against me. Now I tell you before it comes, that when it does come to pass, you may believe that I am he. Most assuredly I say to you, he who receives whomever I send receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me." Verse 21, when Jesus had said these things, he was troubled in spirit and testified and said, "Most assuredly I say to you, one of you will betray me." Then the disciples looked at one another, perplexed about whom he spoke. Now there was leaning on Jesus' bosom one of his disciples, that's John, whom Jesus loved, and Simon Peter therefore motioned to him to ask who it was of whom he spoke. Then leaning back on Jesus' breast, he said to him, "Lord, who is it?" And Jesus answered, "It is he whom I shall give a piece of bread when I have dipped it." And having dipped the bread, he gave it to Judas Iscariot, the son of Simon. Now after the piece of bread, Satan entered him. Then Jesus said to him, "What you do quickly." Now, go over to verse 34. "A new commandment I give to you, that you shall love one another as I have loved you, that you also love one another. By this all will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." Now, here's where we want to go with this morning. It said that Jesus loved them to the end. He loved his people. He loved his disciples, even the ones that were betraying him, and the ones that would deny him. That was Peter. We didn't get to that part, but Peter goes on and denies Jesus. But if you recall, yesterday we talked about how Jesus came in lowly, sitting on a foal, and we said that his kingdom, the initiation of his kingdom was brought into this world by the King himself, Jesus Christ, and he was riding low. He was meek and lowly. He was a servant king, not a conquering king, and he was an enduring king, and we talked about the enduring part of it yesterday. This morning we want to talk about the serving part, and Jesus' service to his disciples and to the world by giving of his body, the ultimate sacrifice on the cross for our sin, was motivated by his love for people, by his love for his creation. His entire motivation was his love for the Father and his love for the creation, namely mankind. Now it says that he loved them to the end. What does that mean? Well, he did a couple of things here in the scriptures that we notice. First of all, he washed their feet and set for them an example about how they should love one another. And what he was doing was he was serving them. Now, washing feet was the job for the lowest slave or servant in the house. And Jesus, of course, was the king. But he showed them how the king set aside his garments, set aside his privilege, set aside all that he had coming to him and that he deserved. And he sat down and he took a towel and a basin and he washed their feet. Now he said, "I did this as an example unto you how you should wash one another's feet. Now, there's a lot of churches that have made that an ordinance in the church. I don't knock that. That's okay. I've actually participated in that, belonged to those type of churches. But that's not what Jesus wasn't establishing an ordinance. He was giving an example about how we are to get behind and beneath those that we love and to help them forward. Now, I was thinking about this morning, and I don't know if this person's watching this morning, and if they are, I'm not saying it because they are. I'm just saying it because it's true. And I want to use it as a person as a great example of this, of washing people's feet, as Michael Holt, the owner of Northport Taekwondo Dojo and Gym. I want to use him as an example. When I was thinking about getting Micah into martial arts or getting him into some sport, I was investigating, a lot of things in the city and opportunities, and I kept being referred to Michael Holt and to the Taekwondo. Now, I had taken Taekwondo from Michael Holt's instructor years ago, back in the 80s. So I was familiar with it, but it's kind of changed. It's kind of morphed a little bit. So they kept saying, you need to go, man, because it instills discipline in the kids. It helps them establish values, helps them to set goals, to achieve mannerisms, all these kind of things. I said, okay, I'm going to do that. So I put Micah in there. And Micah was surrounded by not only Mr. Holt, but the people that he had handpicked to help be his instructors for the kids. Now, I'm going somewhere with this. Y'all hold on. And so Micah's next immediate supervisor or teacher or instructor was Sean Gann. And Sean Gann, took a personal interest not only in Micah, but in all of his students. And he was a great instructor and motivator for Micah. And I could go on and on about the things that we saw and heard and, saw displayed and so forth. But Sean Gann had been a student of Mr. Holt's himself. And then he attained a certain level, black belt or whatever. And then he got out of it for a while. And then he came back and he told Mr. Holt, he said, I think I'd like to be an instructor. I think I'd like to do this for a living. So Mr. Holt received him back, mentored him, and put him in a position of opportunity and responsibility, and watched him mature. Well, it was right before Micah attained black belt that Mr. Gann and his wife felt led of the Lord and professionally ready to make a move to go to Tennessee to open up their own Tiger Rock Taekwondo. Now, Mr. Holt was not like a lot of other people who would say, man, I think that's a great idea, Sean. Man, best of luck. You've been a great, employee. Shake his hand and say, man, I can give you great accolades. I can give you great references, and you did a good job. I think you do a good job. That's not what he did. He went to Tennessee with Sean Gann to help him find a place to open his business. And then he helped them set it up, drove on weekends and weekdays to Tennessee to help the man set his business up, and then went and watched him open it and have the grand opening. So in other words, he didn't just turn him loose. He didn't just mentor him here and then turn him loose and say, good luck. But he followed him to the place of his dream, to the place of his business, and helped him establish it, helped him to set up his business model, helped him to organize, helped him to strategize, and helped him to implement his plan, and was there when the doors opened, and was, there when they started taking in students. Now, guys, listen, that's what Jesus meant when he was washing people's feet. He didn't say just bless them and say, good luck, boys, but he got behind them and he got beneath them and he helped them realize their dreams. He pushed them and pressed them, but also walked with and supported them in the mission and the purpose for which he put them in the earth. He didn't say good luck and hold on. He said, let me go with you and set you up. Let me get you fixed up. Now, that's one way that we show love, is one of the ways that and we're kind of like Jesus, but we're not. We don't love like Jesus all the time and I'm just going to use multi-level marketing. We say we want to help people achieve their dreams. But what you're saying is the person that you've got on your team, you're helping them achieve their dreams, because when they go to the next monetary income level, and that's what we're talking about in this multi-level marketing. When you get to the next level in your multi-level marketing scheme, that means you're making more money. Well, I'm going to help you get there. You know why? Because I brought you into the business, and when I help you get there, I get me here. So as I help you come up, I go up. Well, that's okay. I don't knock that. But here's what Jesus said, and this is what John the Baptist said. When I help you get to the next level, I'm not doing it because it helps me go up. I'm helping you go up because you going up is my dream. My dream is not above you. My dream is not above you. My dream is beneath you. Watching you succeed is my dream, is my goal. That's what makes me. And Jesus, us being successful in the earth, that doesn't lift Jesus any higher. He was Lord when he got here. He's Lord today. He'll be Lord when we gone. But Jesus thrills and is thrilled when he sees his people successful. And I don't mean in being monetarily necessary, but I'm talking about successful in life, being significant in life, fulfilling our life's purposes. That's what he got behind his people for. That's what he got behind his disciples for. And then secondly, let me show you how Jesus loved. He gave people every chance in the world. He chose Judas, and he knew Judas was going to betray him, and he loved him anyway. And on the night of his betrayal, Jesus gave him bread. Now that when he singled Judas out to give him bread, that's what you do for the honored guests at the meal. You single them out and you give them a piece of bread. And it says that I'm honoring you in this meal. Did you know that Jesus honored Judas at that Last Supper and that he gave him one last chance? Jesus knew all along he was a thief. He was stealing from the box. But Judas was the least likely person to betray Jesus because he was the treasurer. Now, you don't put a known thief, in charge of the money, but Jesus did, and he knew it. What Jesus was doing was he was giving Judas every opportunity. Every opportunity. Judas did not leave this world, and he is not in eternity right now saying, I never had a chance, because he did. He had a chance from the day that Jesus invited him to join the 12, every day that they were in ministry for approximately 3.5 years, all the way up to the Last Supper. Jesus said, I'm going to give you another chance, Judas. You want to take this bread? You want to be a part of me? And Judas backed out. And not only that, but Jesus knew that Judas was going to betray him, and he knew that Peter was going to betray him. And Jesus over and over again told Peter, he said, tonight you're going to deny me 3 times. Before it gets daylight, before the rooster crows, you're going to deny me 3 times. But the scripture, the first one we read, said Jesus loved them to the end. He never stopped getting behind them, supporting them, encouraging them, pushing them into their mission, their destiny, their purpose, and he never stopped giving them chances. He never stopped giving them chances. Now, you and me, we always say first chance, second chance, third strike, you're out. Not Jesus. Aren't you glad? I am that Jesus didn't stop on my second chance, didn't stop on my third chance, didn't stop on my fourth chance. Every day he gives me another chance. Every day is another opportunity, because you screwed it up yesterday somewhere. And if you didn't, you're going to screw it up today, and you're going to need another chance. Aren't you glad that Jesus is the God, not of second chances, but of endless chances? His mercies are new every morning. That's the kind of God we serve. That's the kind of love that endures to the end. So, this is just basically Riding Low Part 2, but it's loving the way Jesus loved. Not only did he endure to the end, and being meek and lowly, but his goal was to push his church, his people, into their destiny, to lead them into their purpose, and his thrill was to see them succeed and to find their joy and hope in life in a relationship with him. I want to say thanks again to Mr. Holt and to all the instructors at Taekwondo. You were a blessing to my family, a blessing to my son. He learned, and we experienced things that we will never forget. And who knows, we may come back. That's up to him. I hope he does. Matter of fact, I've told him, I said, I'd love for you to go back and become an instructor. I would. I think that highly of it, but I'm not going to push him into it. He reached his initial goal, which was attaining black belt, and then he wanted to go do something different. So I'm going to let him be the shot caller for a little while. But my hope is that he eventually comes back, because tomorrow we'll talk about this. unless the Lord changes my mind. He who walks with wise men will himself be wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed. Hey, until then, let's go love like Jesus. Let's get behind people and see how far we can push them up and propel them forward. Because when they succeed, that is our hope and joy. And then let's give people endless chances. As long as they are sincere and as long as they are trying, let's give them endless chances, not just a few chances. You know why? Because you and I are going to need endless chances and endless opportunities. And that's how Jesus loves us, to the end. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Good Lord willing, and the saints don't rise. Peace out.